to the ongoing saga of Kyrie Irving. They put Irving on ice.
Again, this is a choice that Kyrie had.
The last thing I wanted to create was more distractions or more hoopla.
Sean Marks did say that the door is open if the situation changes, if the circumstances change.
Kyrie Irving will begin the process of returning to the first place Nets.
The Nets organization, they made a decision. They want to win a championship.
Oh, he's a machine! What a breakdown from Kyrie Irving.
He loves to play. He loves being out there with his teammates. Can't wait to see him out there. And obviously, we love to have Kyrie back. You know, he's a special talent.
This is always where I wanted to be. I wanted to be playing with the team in whatever capacity I can do that.
He's back! Kyrie Irving will make his season debut tonight in Indianapolis. I'm Malika Andrews, and we have his return fully covered right here on NBA Today. So the Nets' big three of Kyrie, KD, and Harden will share the basketball court for the first time in 214 days. And last season, when that happened, Brooklyn, they went 11-3. And remember, Kyrie is coming off a season in which he became just the fourth player in NBA history to average a 25 a game while shooting 50, 40, 90, and joining elite company by doing that in Bird, Durant, and Curry. So now I'm excited to bring in our Nets beat reporter, Nick Friedel. So Nick, you were at shoot-around this morning. What did Steve Nash have to say about how he's going to handle Kyrie Irving tonight?
Malika, Nash said that Kyrie would play a big chunk of the game. He looks like his old self, so the guess is he's going to play around 25 or 30 minutes. But it was very clear in talking to LaMarcus Aldridge, in hearing what was being said internally in the organization, everybody feels like he looks like the guy who can return this team back to feeling whole again. So whatever he gives them tonight, they know a few more weeks from now, once he knocks off the rust, he's going to be in a much better place.
Well, absolutely. And what kind of lift does his return give a Nets team that's lost 3 in a row here?
It's gigantic. Aldridge told us a couple hours ago, he looks like his old self, and he looks like the guy that we all know. And KD said the other day, Malika, and this is crucial, I asked him, how do you keep the continuity when you know that Kyrie's only playing in half the games? And he looked at me and he's like, are you kidding me? Have you watched him play? This guy is a master. They know with Kyrie on the floor, they're a legit title contender again. And that belief is permeating throughout a locker room that is looking for a lot of answers right now with the way they've been playing. So even though he's only going to be out there for half the games, they know the emotional jolt that he'll give them tonight and moving forward the next few months is going to be huge.
And it's a much-needed jolt, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we're going to be seeing you on the 6 o'clock Sports Center just a little bit later. So, Steve Nash, he said that Kyrie is going to be playing a chunk tonight. That's the phrase he used as I'm joining my pal Richard Jefferson at the desk. So, Richard, to you.
Did you call me a pal? Man,
just for now.
New Year's, new her.
New Year's, same me. But okay. For you, what would be a successful debut for Kyrie Irving?
I think just slowly acclimating him to what they're doing. And this is unprecedented. We haven't seen this, not only in NBA history, we haven't seen this in sports history, not in modern day, where a player is basically a part-time player. So I think for Kyrie to have just a successful outing is just being there, just being on the court with his team, feeling that energy and just getting acclimated to what they're trying to accomplish.
Big perk, Kendrick Perkins coming in now. Our friend, absolutely on that one. Do you agree with what Richard's saying?
I do, but why are you trying to be so dramatic about it? Like, okay, it's part-time, but it's still basketball. At the end of the day, Kyrie Irving is just one of those guys that you could just drop anywhere in America and he's going to hoop. He could roll out of the bed, he's going to hoop. He don't have to train. That's who Kyrie Irving is. So at the end of the day, look, one thing I do love is I love what the Brooklyn Nets are doing right now because they're thinking about the long haul, meaning they're getting their team adjusted to Kyrie only playing part-time, which is a good thing because we already know when the postseason come, having them part-time on the road is going to be huge because you have Kevin Durant and James Harden who should should be able to take care of home, and role players play better at home. So I'm with Richard Malika, but I just don't know why he's so extra with it. Like,
you and me
don't
both.
have to be that extra, dog.
You and me both.
Pal.
But it's no secret, Perk, right, that when Kyrie plays, he's one of the best players in the NBA. But does him being back in a part-time role, not looking at the playoffs yet, does it fix anything that's ailing the Nets right now?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the Nets are on a 3 or 4 game losing streak.
3.
It seemed like they have lost their identity. So, you know, at the end of the day, when I look at Kyrie coming back, it just could bring new life. You know what I mean? And now they don't have to answer those questions or worry about if he's coming back. So just him returning part-time, I think is great for the Brooklyn Nets.
This is awesome. But one thing that we can't just say it's great to have Kyrie back. The NBA loves him. This team loves him. Like, he is a person that the basketball community is excited to get back for the culture. But let's not act like there's not going to be complications here. There will be complications. Let's say hypothetically something happens and Kyrie Irving, doesn't play in a homestand, but then let's say he just tweaks his ankle a little bit and then he's forced to miss 2 or 3 road games. Now all of a sudden you don't have Kyrie for 2 weeks, and then he comes back for two road games, and then they have a 3-game homestand. There are a lot more complications to come. So we can sit here and say we're excited to have Kyrie back. The Nets are excited to get Kyrie back, but let's just not make it seem like, oh, well, they got him for the next, 30 home games.
Yeah.
That's not the case. There's more complications to be had, but this is a step in the right direction. Correct, Perk?
Yeah, I mean,
you need to fix your attitude.
That's early. It's only going to get worse from here.
Oh, well, we expect that from you. But Richard, you played with Kyrie Irving. For you, when you're looking at how James Harden plays, when Kyrie is on the court versus when Kyrie is off the court, what changes there?
Well, I think Kyrie he's almost a player that you don't have to worry about. If that man touches the ball, he is a weapon. Very similar to Steph Curry bringing the ball up in transition. The minute he touches the ball from anywhere at any time, he is a threat. And so I think what that does is it doesn't make James Harden have to create for so many guys. Now he can focus on a couple of guys. If you got KD and you got Kyrie running down the wing, now James Harden has so much more space to work, so much more space to navigate. And if he tosses it to somebody, he has multiple guys that can get a bucket that he doesn't have to get it back and then try and go force feed somebody.
Well, we'll have much
against the Pacers. Get used to seeing him in those white uniforms, because as of right now, he's not allowed to play in home games at Barclays because he has decided against getting a very safe and highly effective vaccine against COVID-19. NBA champion Kendrick Perkins and the man who puts Jacoby and Jalen and Jacoby, David Jacoby. Let's get to it. Perk, half the games. Is this going to work?
Yes, it's going to work, Max. Look, you rather a Kyrie Irving part-time than no time. And I love what the Brooklyn Nets are doing right now, because what they're doing is they're getting them prepared mentally, the whole team, for how it's going to be come postseason. I tell you this time and time again, role players play better at home in the postseason. On the road, you need that other all-star. If James Harden and Kevin Durant can't bring you wins at home, on the road, then they're not who they say they. At home, then they're not who they say they are. But on the road, you need this guy, Kyrie Irving, who could go out there and give you 40 to 50 on the road on any given night.
That's a great point. You got home court and KD and Harden. You should be able to hold that down in the East. Kyrie on the road also helps you there. So, Jacoby, yesterday Perk said he's watching to see if Harden and Kyrie slide back into their roles from last season. It was kind of effortless, right? Harden ran the point. What are you hoping to see?
Well, what we saw last season in the small sample size was James Harden was the point guard. Yeah. And that kind of happened verbally and physically, because James Harden, you put the ball in his hands, he's an absolute maestro with it, and then Kyrie can get his own isolations and second actions. You always want James Harden to have the ball in his hands. The Houston Rockets had like a full 8-year run of success because James Harden had the ball in his hands. I don't expect that to change, especially with Kyrie working his way back in. And guess what? James Harden doesn't play 48 minutes. When he's on the bench, then you have Kyrie with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, it's a good point. Harden last year running that point was unbelievable. And Kyrie was doing his thing. But fellas, last I checked, you play home games in the playoffs, right? So unless rules change or he gets vaxxed, you're not going to have that. I hear what you're saying, Perk, but against The best teams in the league, can they win a championship this way?
This is win-win for them. Oh, we end up as the number 1 seed. We have home court advantage in Brooklyn. Guess what? If we split the first 2 games, guess what? We're bringing Kyrie into your building. And if they end up number 2 or number 3 in the Eastern Conference, like the Bulls are ahead of them right now, okay, we'll play with Kyrie in game 1 and game 2, and then without him in game 3. Like, it's a win-win for them because of the way this is set up.
You know what else, though, Perk? Last year, and this is maybe... They had Mike D'Antoni on that. Like, Mike D'Antoni and James Harden can roll out of bed. They know what to do. D'Antoni's not there. You still think it works out the same way where, here, James, run the offense and Kyrie can play off ball if he needs to? Does it work the same way now?
It does, Max, and let me tell you where it works at the most, where it matters the most at. Since D'Antoni has left, guess what? The Brooklyn Nets, their defense has gotten better. You ever notice that side of the ball? You always worrying about offense, but you forget it's 2 ends of the ball. And at the end of the day, I still stand by what I believe in and what history has shown us. Defense win you championships. And when I've been looking at how Kevin Durant has been leading the charge defending, not over the past 3 games. Yes, they've been struggling. Kevin Durant is coming out of COVID. So is James Harden. They all getting their legs back under them. But on the defensive side of things, the Nets have been we've been not talking about them enough.
Yeah, the one thing